Hi, welcome.
Hello.
This video is a condensed summary of our book, Detachment, The Secret to Infinite Peace. Eddie and I realize that some of you are not reading the book and therefore not following the guidelines of the process. You're coming into the website or you're hearing about it, but you don't actually have access to something like what we are providing today. So, briefly, what is detachment? What is detachment?
Detachment is the most understood concept of spirituality.
Did you just say understood?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I said detachment is the most misunderstood.
It is the most misunderstood concept of
Unless,
spirituality.
of course, they misheard me.
No, no, it is the most misunderstood concept. And it's
You
so
know,
vast, this area. We could be spending a few days on
okay.
it, but we're going to do it in a few
Basically,
minutes. Okay.
detachment is not disassociation, escape, reaction, or lack of caring or disinterest, resistance or denial of feeling, but it's a loving connection. Detachment is the essence of compassion. Detachment allows you to develop an awareness of unity and know that everything is interconnected by love and truth. This knowing can give a depth of purpose and meaning to life. Detachment is the illuminating ability to see all the challenging situations and people with clarity and compassion. In its most potent form, it is surrendering to the self as the source of empathy, love, and forgiveness.
So, detachment can also be thought of as non attachment. Non attachment is when the mind and the senses are not affected by external circumstances, situations, desires, and people. It allows us to maintain balance even in the most challenging situations. The mind obscures the real infinite self or the illumined self. Eddie, very quickly, when we talk about the self, the illumined self, and the mind covering it, could you just give a little bit of extra edification around that?
Basically, the self is God, the God that's within you. The mind is you. That's as using your thoughts and your what you call your memories. That's obscuring the self within. That's all it's doing it.
So the mind can be described as a veil. It is a veil of ignorance which keeps you unaware of the magnificent presence and present of the self within you. The mind is tied down by the sense organs, attitudes, desires, and stories about the phenomenal world and is bound by this. Thus, one of the first steps in knowing your true self is to understand the mind and teach it detachment. And
Just as removing firewood from the fire automatically extinguishes the flame, removing the energetic links that bind the mind to objects, habits, and beliefs automatically frees our awareness to experience the power of the self.
so the question is, when you listen to that, perhaps you've already got the answer. Why practice detachment? Because it is the step towards knowing the self. But when you are affected by stressful emotion and life becomes difficult, detachment is one of the ways to make life easier. Detachment allows you to live in the present, free to make good choices, to focus on harmony, and avoid getting entangled in unnecessary drama. So, Eddie and I, we've been guided to create the Liberating Touch Detachment Process to help you experience life peacefully. The infinity exercise. So, Eddie, what is the infinity exercise?
The infinity exercise is a part of the liberating touch detachment process. It is a visualization exercise where you visualize or imagine that you're in one loop of a large infinity symbol, and the object, symbol, or person that you need to detach from is in the opposite loop of the infinity symbol. You then visualize a white serpent of light moving along the path of the infinity symbol, clockwise or counterclockwise, looping around you and then looping around the other as illustrated in the diagram.
Well, we're going to show you the diagram now. So there you go. So you can actually see that diagram. So as you do this exercise, your thoughts will create a vortex of spinning energy around you in one direction and spinning around the loop in front of you in the opposite direction. Physics tells us that objects spinning in opposite directions cannot come together, but will pull apart. A vortex will also pull everything to its center, just like water in a sink, which spirals as it drains out. When we do this exercise, we are communicating to the subconscious mind in symbolic language to deprogram our attachment to the object, person, or symbol in the loop opposite us. Therefore, the subconscious will free the energy locked in the conditioned processes and allow us to reclaim our power. In effect, it is breaking the pattern of control, the pattern of fear. The mind is extremely powerful, and thoughts can manifest energetically. As you think, so it becomes. This exercise that you are seeing, this visualization, the infinity exercise, can be practiced on its own, anytime, anywhere, to give you space when you are affected by negative emotions or people. For example, whenever you feel that you are reacting to someone or something, even during a phone call or when a conversation with someone, all you have to do is put yourself in one loop of the infinity symbol and the person or object in the other loop, and visualize the white serpent of light going along the path of the infinity symbol till your reaction stops or till you experience peace.
Also, just note, the white serpent of light is actually energy, is the power of God.
I like to say to people who are uncomfortable with that word God that it's the power of love and the power of truth, and we are drawing on that power of, you could almost call it the spirit of love and truth. We're drawing on that power to help us reclaim our power. And it's so easy to get enmeshed in irate conversations or be triggered by remark or to feel pressured. And in that moment, if you can remember to visualize the infinity exercise, it will change your life.
How do you visualize that?
Well, some people struggle to infinitize. We just talked about it, where you see yourself in one loop, you see an infinity, and then you see the serpent of light, you visualize it going around.
It's all yourself. In the mind.
Yeah.
And if you use your fingers to do a little infinite symbol
can you show how you would use your fingers?
It was just even on your thumb, you can do it like that, with like a figure 8 on your thumb. That's your infinity. Just think of the infinity and do that. That will trigger it off.
I suppose that would be like a kinesthetic way of accessing the infinity exercise.
Remind yourself of it.
And as you do this, you imagine yourself. So if I was doing it at the back of my hand, I'd see myself and I'd just visualize myself in one loop, and the distressing, annoying, confusing issue or person in the other loop. And I instantly create space that I require to disengage from the story and take inspired action. Yeah.
The best way to do is, if you're talking to a person in front of you and they can see you, the best thing would be to put your hands on your lap and do a little figure eight with it. So they can't see it, but you'll feel it yourself doing it. So that'll remind you to your infinity.
So you can, we call this exercise infinitizing. So often you'll hear us saying, just infinitize, just infinitize. So we refer it to as infinitizing. Now you can infinitize from someone or something that makes you react negatively, or from that which you are trying to control, or from something or someone that's controlling you, or you are allowing them to control you. So this exercise draws your scattered energy back to you, and all the energy of the person or the challenge back to itself in the other loop. This weakens the energetic links and allows you to meet any situation, person, addiction, or substance with understanding and compassion. Talked about the infinity exercise, and now we go to the detachment process.
Yeah, if you want to know more or know detachment in greater detail, read the book.
Yeah.
It's about 108 pages, I think.
So Eddie, we've spoken about the infinity exercise and how that will help us anytime, anywhere, in any moment. So then what about the detachment process?
Let's talk about the detachment process. When something is tripping you up constantly, and you feel that something is affecting your life or your relationships, and you want to be free of that distraction or obstacle, you do the first step of the detachment process. In this step, using the guided visualization, you ask the element self about what you need to detach from. Go with the guidance. When you go to the second step of the detachment process and use the infinity exercise for 2 weeks to help you lessen the power of that obstacle. And the next thing is do the third step of the detachment process to help remove the obstacle. This step is a guided visualization. And the final step is the detachment process. The final step is the detachment process to complete the process and firmly convince your mind that you are free from that obstacle. In this step, you write a letter to the element self and burn it. Offer the ashes and some water to a nearby tree.
So Eddie, let me just go through that process. So there's 4 steps of the detachment process, and it sounds like it takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it takes 2 weeks.
The first step is simply basically connecting to the element self and asking what you need to detach from. And then the second step is, once you know what you need to detach from, for 2 weeks you do the infinity, the visualization.
The infinity exercise, or you infinitize.
Yeah, infinitize for 2 weeks.
So you infinitize what you've been guided.
What you've been guided to detach from.
Not any old random thing.
You just don't put it. The only thing you do when you're doing a visualization is, you can, if you feel getting upset by or disturbed by something, then you can do that. But when you're doing a detachment, you have to ask for guidance from the element self to ask what you need to detach from.
And then the third, after the 2 weeks.
After the 2 weeks, you do a guided visualization exercise. It's like a meditation process there to help you remove that obstacle or detach or the hurdle.
And and then the fourth step is you write a letter. And you say...
You write a letter thanking the element self for helping you remove the obstacle, so you can, and burn it.
So thank you, Illumined Self, this wisdom within me, for liberating me from this obstacle.
If you got the detachment book, there is an example at the back of the detachment book, the letter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's an example right in there. Show you how to write a letter, but you can put it in your own words, whatever is right for you.
Yeah.
And then you you burn the letter, mix it with water, and give the nearest tree or the tree nearby the ashes in water.
It's interesting, isn't it? Everything comes from nature, returns to nature, and even that which is caused disharmony in our life at some stage would have come from there.
And one more,
returned.
Just to be clear, you can use the infinity exercise on its own anytime, anywhere, to give you space when you are affected by negative emotions or people. When you're caught in a particular behavior and tripping up constantly, do the complete detachment process, starting with step 1 to find out what you need to detach from.
This is great. And because you said just to be clear, and you know I like to be serious, very, very clear. So anytime, anywhere, something is troubling you,
Yeah.
infinitize.
Yeah.
And then, but if you notice, oh my gosh, I keep repeating the same pattern, or the same person is irritating me, or I can't seem to break free of this stress, then I do step 1 of the detachment process, do the guided visualization, get instructions from the illumined self within me, what I need to detach from. Then for 2 weeks, step 2, infinitize. Then step 3, the guided visualization. And guess what? All these audios for step 1, step 2, step 3 are easily available on the LiberatingTouch.com website. So LiberatingTouch.com website or the LiberatingTouchCenter.com website. Just go to, in LiberatingTouch.com, you'll see it says Peace Detachment. That's the page. On LiberatingTouchCenter.com, go to Resources. And then once you've done that guided visualization, step 4, I write a letter, a grateful letter, and I burn the letter, I offer the ashes, and I'm free. I'm liberated from that obstacle, from that distraction. Great.
It's not always, because any issues or problems you have, there are lots of facets. Sometimes you might do a detachment and find that you probably cleared one facet of that problem or issue. And then you might find that the illumined self will ask you to do it again. It's not because you haven't cleared anything, because you've cleared part of the problem, not the whole problem. So you might sometimes have to do it once or twice or 3 times.
So there you go. We've outlined the detachment process a few times.
What about the example?
Well, let's get to hundreds of examples from clients, students, ourselves. I mean, how long have we been doing this work for?
I've been doing it from 1992.
So, gosh, that's 30
That's
years.
over 30 years.
And I've probably been doing about under 30 years, but close. And so, and sometimes, some years, we did 2 detachment processes a month to really free yourself. And that, I can tell you, it is so worth it. So we have hundreds of examples in our own lives. It's transformed our lives. But let's just give you a couple of examples. So an example of the infinity exercise, Eddie.
Well, you're on the phone with someone in distress, and you visualize them in your mind and see the infinity symbol and see them in one loop of the infinity symbol and you in the other loop, and you detach from them.
And another, well, this has happened to me a few times, but I have a very particular time where I was standing in a queue waiting to buy my train ticket, and the person in front of me was being very abusive to a young woman. And I started to infinitize, put myself in one loop, and the person he was abusing in the other loop, and I started to infinitize. And suddenly that person completely calmed down, turned to me and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I've had a really bad day. My mother's just died and I'm really angry. And this person who's with me, she's I can't remember what." But it diffused the situation, and it also taught me the infinity exercise helps me not to go into a place of judgment. It helps me so that I don't go and say, that shouldn't be happening. And that was really nice. So the infinity exercise, anytime, anywhere. Now, what about an example of the detachment process, Eddie?
Okay, I can give you an example of the detachment. This is my first detachment, one of my first ones. I would say probably one of my first ones was I detached from my mum. And that was quite interesting because she's never ever said, "I love you" to me. And then as soon as I did the detachment, a week later, I rang her up, and for the first time she said, "I love you," and she hasn't done that in such a long time. So there was a big difference. But at the same time, she still hasn't said anything to my siblings. But she said that to me, but I was the only one who did the detachment. My siblings didn't do it. So as I can see that as an example of saying, yeah, you do the work, and it'll affect you, and it'll affect the person you're doing it to as well.
Yeah, it's very powerful stuff, this. I know for me, I struggled with smoking for a very long time. It was one of those habits that I struggled to break. I would stop, I'd start, I'd stop, I'd start, I'd stop, I'd start, and this went on for years. And I think my mother one day quipped, "Well, you do all this kind of work, and have you done it for yourself?" And I was like, "Oh." I did step one, and my step one was a cigarette in the other loop. And I did step 2 weeks of infinitizing the cigarette, and then I did step 3, the guided visualization, and I did step 4. And it was so interesting. I lost interest in smoking after that, and it was very gentle. It was easy. So on that note, if you want to find out more, there's more examples in this book, Detachment, The Secret to Infinite Peace. And you can also get this book in Portuguese now, all on Amazon and Amazon Kindle. So look out for it. And I hope that's explained the detachment process.
If you have any more questions, please let us know.
Yeah, we wish you well. And how will they let us know? They can email us.
Yeah, they put it on
And they can, yes, they can email us at LiberatingTouchCenter at gmail.com. So that's a good way if you have any questions. Or you can find us on Facebook. That's really fast. You can find us on Facebook. We have a page. Or you can look out for Eddie Ranchna Apu on Facebook as well. Okay, we close this with lots of blessings and wishing you peace. May your day be peaceful and joyful. Thank you.
Bye.